All right, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to Spotlight on Forms. I'm your host, Ryan Clancy. I'm the Client Success Manager here at EduNet. I'm excited to have you here joining us today. Now, what's cool is we are recording this training session. Once it's ready to go, we will be going in and posting it to our company YouTube channel. What we're going to start with here today, everybody, is we're going to have a chance to take a look at some really cool examples of forms. Forms is one of the most versatile parts of your site. There's lots of different things you can do. Everything from perhaps student registration forms, I'd probably say that's probably the most common use of those. Forms for the PTA, activity sign-up sheets, field trip permission slips, lots of different possibilities with forms. You can even go in and accept credit card payments by going in and using forms as well. So that'll be definitely something we'll talk about here today. What we'll then do is after we take a look at these cool examples, we're going to have a chance to go in and create a form of our very own. And I'm going to show you step by step how you can do that. One of the great things about going in and using the forms module is you're using a drag and drop construction format. So in a lot of cases, just depending on the length of the form itself, sometimes you can have a form ready to go on your website, ready for parents to fill out within about 10 to 15 minutes or so, which is pretty cool. Now, along with that, we'll have a chance to see how to manage form submissions. The forms module, it does something we all want to do, and that's to be able to cut back on paperwork. So it allows you to go in and to be able to view the forms right on your CMS, so the admin system, if you will. So that's something there that is pretty cool. And you can even go in and export those out to Excel as an example. And along with that too, you can even print out individual form submissions if you prefer as well. After that, we'll talk about the steps involved with going in and making sure that our community can go in and can access that form. So we'll talk about how we can easily link that to our navigation menu. Just remember to everyone, questions are encouraged. To ask any questions you have, what you'll want to go in and do is you'll want to type those in the chat box, and that's going to be able to be accessed by clicking on that little bubble icon on your GoToTraining toolbar. All right, everyone, let's go ahead. Let's get started. As I mentioned, you got a lot of possibilities with forms. Going in and paying a visit to Green Tech High School's website, this site already has a lot of neat forms. So if we take a look at an example of this, if we go over here, for example, to the 2020 school year application, what we see here is perhaps one of the more common types of uses for the forms module. Now, as we see, this is a form that, for one, it's set up as a multi-page form. And this is one of the more recent updates we've made to this year. This is something that we went ahead and we actually launched last year. And the benefit to going in and to having a multi-page form compared to, a real lengthy single-page form is that in a lot of respects, it can make it so that it is, a little less intimidating for that. For our website visitors, and that is going to increase the likelihood that they will actually go in and complete that form. When we think of any type of form that we may go in and fill out, perhaps buying a new car. Now that, of course, most of the time you're using paper forms for that, but nonetheless, very lengthy, and in terms of that, very intimidating with that. So this here helps it makes our website visitors more comfortable with filling out the form. We're able to break it down and make it a little bit more, for lack of a better term, digestible too, as they're going in and filling this out as well. Now, along with that, we also have something that can be used, probably for our students who, for existing students, we have our elective selection form. So they can choose which elective classes they want to go in and use here as well. So this is a great example of a single page form. It's pretty short there's really not a whole lot that they need to go in and fill out here as well. But we see the versatility that this module that's going to go in and that it's going to offer us as well. Now we have some other great uses as well. And one of those being is we have an example of a field trip permission slip. This is a multi-page form. And what we'll see is that this is a form that does accept credit card payments as well. So this is great. I remember when I was in school that all of our permission slips, they were all paper forms. But this makes the process of going in and passing out field trip permission slips and in turn receiving it can make it a lot easier in a lot of different ways. Going in and taking a look at this, we have student information, parent or guardian information, and that does include contact information, and then health information and permission. So one thing you'll notice about this right over here, they don't have to include the health information. It may be that parents may prefer to talk to the teacher in person. So that's not a mandated field. So that is something that you do have the option. You do have the option of going in and requiring certain fields. And there's going to be definitely cases where you want to make sure that specific fields are required. It'll make it so that it ensures that when someone turns in the form, it has all the information that you need for them to go in to be able to turn in for that. And along with that, we of course have payment information. Now, if you're not registered for our next presentation, the next one is Spotlight on Merchant Accounts. That is going to be something that we're going to be taking a look at today at 2:30. That there is going to be very, very helpful for this. Remember, in order to accept payments, you'll want to go in and have a merchant account set up. And you can actually set up a Stripe account right within the CMS itself, which is cool. Now, we got this set up in a really, really cool way. For this particular form, payments are not mandated. So we take a look at this here. Let's say, as an example, the school is covering the student tickets, so they don't need to buy it. So if only the student, if the parents aren't going on the trip, as an example, if only the student's going, they click on this, and as we'll see, there's not going to be an option to be able to submit payment information. However, if we go in here and let's say we have 2 people going, now they can go in and they're able to fill in the payment information. So that's something there that is important to note. Another great, one moment. And I have a great question here from Antoinette here as well. Antoinette asks, can PayPal be used as well? Great question. So PayPal itself is not able to be used with the form module. However, you have PayFlow Pro by PayPal that can be. Now with that is something that can only be set up by PayPal. So with that, you would want to reach out to them in regards to that there for that. So that's something that's important to note. And once you have that set up, you're able to go in then and then link that through the merchant account there for that. It's an excellent question, Antoinette. Thank you. But definitely can be a great option for that. Now, another great use that we have with this here as well is this can also be used for surveys as well. So let's say that, as an example, the school wanted to go in and find out how they can make the yearly enrollment process a little bit easier. We got the perfect survey for that. So let's take a look. Here it is. And we take a look at this. This is actually something that can be completed very quickly. So let's say that I'm the parent of a student who is in the 9th grade. We select, are they enrolling at Green Tech for the first time? They are. Then we have the questions here. So in this case, we go in and select our answers. And later on, when we go in and we go to view form submissions, we'll be able to see this one here. So it's cool. We kind of see it, on stage, if you will, and then we get to kind of see it behind the scenes just a little bit later as well. And then we just need to go in and add on our reCAPTCHA here as well. We click submit. And we're also able to view our answers too. So that's something there that's pretty cool. I have a great question here from Melissa. Melissa asks, are you going to show us how to set up one of these multi-page forms? Absolutely. So the example that we're going to do is we're going to say that we don't have a student registration form on the site. We're going to go in and see how to create one from scratch. So we're going to pretend we don't have that on here yet, and we're adding that on for the first time. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at that, everybody. All right, everyone. Now, our first step, of course, if we haven't already, when we're going in and we are adding on forms, is we want to start by logging in. So I sign in. And then we need to navigate, of course, over to our forms module as well. So with this here, what we do is we go over to our menu button. And then from here, we go to operations. We go over to forms. What I'll do next here is I'll just scroll towards the bottom of the screen and I click create new form. And if you joined me before for any of our other webinars, you hear me say this term a lot. We simply go in, we fill out the form, particularly, of course, when we're working with news or calendars. What we do is, so we'll say this is going to be the 22-23 student. And we will add this to navigation as well. I apologize, I am not typing well today. Perfect. Now you have the option to go in and add a description on as well. This is a great place for you to be able to go in and to be able to add some policy information. So we can also describe who should, we should mention who should fill this out too. So this form should be filled out by all students attending Green Tech for the first time. Now here comes the policy information. So we'll say that all form submissions, so let's type in all forms should be submitted by July 2nd at 11:59. Yeah. Perfect. So we got that added on. We do need to set up a manager. So usually when you're doing this, you're going in and you're going to be setting yourself up as a manager. And I think we have a question here. Let's take a look. And I have a great question here from Lizzie. Lizzie asks, are non-admin staff able to view form submissions if given permission? Absolutely. So what they would need to do is set them up as a manager. And once they've been set up as a manager, they're going to be able to go in and they're going to be able to view those form submissions. So what we'll do in this case, just for the purposes though of this webinar, I'm going to set myself up as the manager. Now we get to decide what we want to have happen once the form's turned in. You got a couple of options. One is to show a confirmation message. The other is to have it redirect to a page. Let's show a confirmation message. We may want to provide information on who to contact if they have questions about their application. In this case, I'll type in, thank you for your submission. Please call the admissions. I apologize, I am not spelling well today. There we go. Director at, we'll put in a phone number. All right, perfect. Now we need to choose our options for the form. I always like to make sure to go in and to use spam protection. But along with that, I also always like to have it serve over a secure connection as well. But we also have some other ones. One thing with forms that's important to note is that if you are looking to accept credit card payments, you have to set that up in the initial settings. Now, in this particular form, we're not going to add that on, but I do want to show you what that would look like if you did. You'd simply go in, check this box here. You get to choose the merchant account you want to use. And then from there, you get to decide how the amount is decided, if you will. So in a lot of cases, it's going to be a fixed amount. However, if they have multiple options, so maybe it's an activity sign-up sheet, they can either sign up for multiple activities or every activity may be priced differently. If that was the case, we would select calculate from form. But in this case, we're going to leave that be there. But I am going to have it use spam protection, server over secure connection. Now, for forms that are a little bit more lengthy, we may want to go in and enable draft submission. So in this case, we will go in and set that up, and we'll leave it as is for 15 days for that. That is another great way for you to go in and to increase the completion of form submissions there. All right, everyone. So we've gone in, we've completed our initial settings. Now we actually get to go in and to build out this particular form. This is when we get to go in and use that drag and drop construction format. I click save, and now everyone, I am ready to go in and start building this out. So let's start by going in and adding an area here for student information. That'll usually be the first thing we have here. So we'll go in, we'll start with first name. I have all these options, but I want to use a text field. So I'm going to use either of these. This is more if we have more lengthy answers they'll need to put in. But in this case, we'll just use a single line text. I click, drag, and drop. Now I need to change the question. I do that by clicking on this, and I'll change this now to first name. Now, this is going to be a field we definitely want them to fill in, of course. So this, of course, is going to be one that we will set as a required field. Perfect. Now, after this here, what I'm going to go in and do is I'm going to get another single line text, and I'll also go in. I click, click, drag and drop. And this, of course, will be last name. Also going to make sure that we make this a required field as well. Now, in this case, we're going to go in and add on, we're going to make it so that this is a multi-page form. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and get a page title. We'll title this Student Information. Click Update. Perfect. So we've added on our first page. So you want to remember page title. This is what you're going to use to build out that multi-page form. So to have multiple pages to it, that's the option that you want to go in and you want to use. Let's add on a multiple choice question. Let's ask what grade level they're in. So we have a few options here for multiple choice questions. We have our checkbox, radio button, drop down. For something like this, I'm going to use a radio button. That's what we think of when we typically think of a multi-choice question, or multiple choice question, I should say. So I go in, I click, drag, and drop. Now I need to change the question. So we'll start by changing the question itself to grade level. Now I can add on our options. So what I'll do is I'll type in grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, and then grade 12. We check this box, we make it a required field, and then after this, we'll go in and we'll click Update. And this is a great question. Melissa asks, do users filling out the form have to click Next button to move from the first page to the second page? That's a great question. They can go in and actually click on the individual tabs for that, but they do also have use for that as well. It's an excellent question. Thank you, Melissa. Now with that, let's go in and add on the second page. So in this case, we'll add on an area here for parent or guardian information. We'll get another page title. So we want to remember page title is what's going to go in and is going to create that next page or that subsequent page there. So we'll type in parent information. Now with this, I'm going to get another single line text. And actually what I can do instead, let's copy those. I'll make it a little bit easier. So we'll copy that. And we'll copy this one here as well. So you have that little copy button there, which can be very, very useful, especially when you are creating a more lengthy form. That'll help save you some time. And what we can also add in this area is perhaps an area for them to add contact information. So let's start with email address. Same thing, we're just going to go in, we're going to click, drag and drop. And then all I need to do with this one is I just click on it and I check this box to make it a required field. Now you may notice that there is not an option here for phone number. We can still add this on, but there is a way to essentially make it so that when they enter their phone number, and we will use a single line text field for this, that it has to have the correct number of digits for that. So we'll go in and do that. I click, drag and drop. To change the question, we click on it and we change this now to phone number. What we'll then do is we'll make this a required field and we'll click update. Perfect. Now there is a step here I forgot, but that's okay because we can just go back into this. So how you can make it so that it will require, that exact number of digits you'll need for a phone number. I do believe it's just for domestic phone numbers only. Is you go to validate and then you select is phone, and then it will require the 10 digits necessary for the phone number. And I click update. Now with that, we have one more field I think that would work well with this, and that's adding on address field. And that's nice because it has all the fields you would need for that, just into essentially one block that you can drag and drop down. Now once I add that on, I just go in, I check this box, clicked update, and now we've completed our area for parent information. Now something else that we may want to ask is perhaps academic information. Maybe we would like to give them the option to submit their previous school's transcripts. So let's do that. We're just going to get another page title. So that's going to create another page. And we simply go in, we click, drag, and drop. And we'll title this area here, academic information. Now, this is going to be something here that I'm not going to mandate. I'm going to make it optional because you may have some parents and students that may just prefer to turn their transcripts in, over in person for that. So in this case, what we do is we'll go in and add on a file attachment field, but we will not make this required. So in this case, I go in, I click, drag and drop. We'll title this here, previous schools. Got some typing to fix here, but that's okay. There we go. All right, everybody. Now in this case, again, we're not making this required, but what I will do is I'll set it up so they can add multiple files there. Perfect. Now, our student registration form is almost all set to go. I'm going to add one more field here that will essentially, it'll be like a checkbox that they have to agree that the information they're submitting is correct. So what I do for this is I'm just going to get a checkbox field. And what I'll do from here is I click, drag and drop. And then we just simply go in, we type this in, I agree the information I am submitting is correct. We can title that any way that we like. We'll set our optional one right here, and I just type yes. We'll make that a required field. Perfect. So our form is looking really, really good here. So now what I can do is I can go in and save the form, and I can go in and I'm able to view what we've just created. So I click preview. To start with here, we have our student information. Now, Melissa, you asked a great question about this earlier. So they can use the next button, but what they can also do as well is they can use the categories here to be able to toggle between the different pages here. So that's something there that is pretty cool here. So as we see, pretty quickly, this was a more lengthy form, but in a lot of cases, you're going to be able to go in and to create a brand new form very, very quickly. But in this case, I go in, I can select next, and I'm able to go to all the different categories here for that. So as we see, not only is Forms versatile, it's very easy to be able to go in and build out a brand new form from scratch. Now, what about going in and managing those form submissions? Let's take a close look at that. So earlier we saw how our website visitors are going to be able to easily submit form submissions. So what they'll do with that, so let's take a look and find the form that we turned in a little bit earlier. What I do, I go to the menu button, I'll go back over to operations, and then from here I go over to forms. I find the form that I want to go in and I want to use here. So it'll be just a moment. Let's see. There it is. I see it here. And we have a listing of all the different form submissions. So let's find the one that we turned in earlier. I see it right over here. And what we're going to be able to see is that we are able to go in and we're able to view this here. Now, what's great about this as well is, especially for surveys, surveys, you're going to want to go in and do perhaps a statistical analysis. So a great tool for that, of course, is Microsoft Excel. What you can do with this is if you go over here to export as, and you do have that option to be able to go in and to export to Excel, and also as well, to be able to go in and export out to a CSV file too. Now, what about form submissions that have payments? Can you go in and can you refund those? Absolutely. So in that case, we just go in, we go to operations, and everyone, please feel free to continue sending in any questions you have, and I'll be happy to help. And I locate a particular form. I see it right over here. So we have our senior class trip to Thrill Mountain. If we did need to go in and we did need to refund a particular form submission, what we'll do is we find the one that we want to go in and turn in, and we just simply click on this. We'll see we'll have the option to go in and to be able to refund that there. So that's something there that is pretty cool as well. Now, of course, once we've gone in and we've created our brand new form, now we're going to be ready to go in and we're going to be ready to add it to our navigation and also be able to share it with our school community as well. Now, the great thing is that adding to the navigation menu has been made very, very easy. So what's cool about the navigation menu, it really has your entire website mapped out. And that'll make things easier here in just a moment, and I'll show you why. So let's say that we want to add our student registration form under parents. We'll add it just underneath PTA and PTO, the PTA and PTO link. What I do is I go to the menu button, but where I'm going to go instead is I'm going to go to website admin, select navigation menu. I find exactly where I want to go in and add this to. So we'll add this to parents. Let's see. All right, we're going to add it just underneath this here. What I do, my first step is I click on the blue arrow. I select either add link above or add link below. So I select add link below. One thing you'll notice about this here is that you do have those fields. However, very, very rarely will you ever need to go in and actually fill those out. The reason is you have the find page function. So with this, you click on that, and to start with, you have all of your modules listed here. And that does include our forms. Along with that too, you can find the sections of your website. So the department pages, anything like that, they're a little bit hidden. Most of the time, they're going to be in a category that's either listed as departments or grade levels. And that will actually have all the sections of your website. But in this case, what I want to go in and do is I want to find that form. So in this case, we're going to find 22. There it is, student registration form. And what we see here is that this fills out those fields for us. So we don't have to worry about that. All I need to do now is I go in, I click save. And I can go over here. We have a link here to test. And it's always best to do this. We click on this. We go over to parents. And we want to make sure this goes to exactly where we want it to go. It does. So for that reason, I go in and I click apply. Now we go back to the live site, refresh our screen, and we get to see here our brand new form that we've created together here today. All right, everyone, please, please, please feel free to continue sending in those questions, and I'm going to be happy to help. Now, as we're waiting for those questions to come in, I do want to go in and share some stuff with you. Speaking of forms, what's great here is we have a contest going on where if you enter your form, you can potentially win a $50 Amazon gift card. Now, those form submissions, they do need to be turned in by 11:59 p.m. tonight. So that's just something important to note. That's 11:59 p.m. Eastern. What I'm going to do is, and we actually have three of these contests going on. We have them for best teacher page, best department page, as well as best form. So I'm going to go in, I'll copy this, and I'm going to place this here in the chat box. And we encourage you to go ahead and to enter this here. It's a lot of fun. And we look forward to seeing the forms and pages that you've created as well. One thing else that I want to share with you too, just a moment, I'm just going to pull this up here real quickly. We have our Central Expo page here as well. So this is great. We do have guides and videos here, some new videos, new guides. You also can go in here, you can access the schedule of the webinars for our event, and also a link to our contest as well. So that's actually also being held as a webinar too. What I do is I'll go in and I'll copy this, and I'll paste this here in the chat box as well. All right, everyone. Well, hey, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today for our presentation. We do have some more presentations that will be coming up here in just a little bit. At 2:30, we'll have Spotlight on Merchant Account. Setting up setting up a merchant account is an important step if you are wanting to accept payments, not only just through forms, but also through the stores and donation funds there. We hope to see you there. As I always like to say, everyone, keep inspiring those future generations, and I look forward to seeing you all again here really, really soon. Take care, everybody. Hi, Antoinette. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us today.